Sword of Omens tells me that you're watching Southern Comic Geek. Thundercats. Ho!
What's going on, YouTube? Southern Comic Geek coming to you with probably going to be a small, short video, but a huge video when it comes to keys. And that's right, Mark. This is where we're showing off some big keys. Go ahead and drop this into the chat, Mark, if you want to, or if anybody else wants to that I recognize wants to jump into the StreamYard. We will talk it up about some huge keys that we were able to pick up over the last week. And it was funny because as I was able to pick these up, most of these actually got in one sale on an Instagram sale. But so before these came in last week, I was talking about, man, I spent an awful lot of money on comics. And then I get a UF4. I got a UF4. My goodness, it's like, oh my goodness, I forgot I even spent that much money, which that UF4 is going to be a pressable candidate that I'm going to be sending to Just in Comics, who is a sponsor of Legion of Comics. But Justin just sent me back my first appearance of Thanos. I'm going to take to the con this weekend as this video is being recorded. I'm going to take it to the con this weekend to get signed by the man, Jim Starlin himself, and send that back off. So hopefully to get a grade bump, because I bought it with the intents, looking at the notes and looking at everything there, that it would be a candidate. Showed it to Justin. He thinks he can make that happen. So that's what I plan to do with that book. But we've got BLC Meow Meow up in the house. So I have long said that if you are looking to get any keys right now for any keys is a good time, because the market has softened for a lot of the bigger books. So now is a good time to get in on some books, but in particular DC keys, as Discovery has now bought, merged, whatever way you want to say it, with Warner Media. They're going to be making some big changes, hopefully for the better. And when they get their act together, folks, those keys are going to do the same thing as the Marvel keys have done. So right now is a good time to get in on all of that. We got Diego, what's up? We got Sweaty Nation Comics. What's up? What's up? How are you doing today? So let's show some big boy books, shall we? Now, this one that I'm going to show first is actually the last of the pickups for last week. I was driving on my way home from being out of town, saw this one on Instagram, Grails, who like Elite Comics, is a big second party seller. What's going on, Mark?
Couldn't miss this.
Couldn't miss all the DC goodness?
No, couldn't miss it.
So, so I was on the way home and saw this, and this book is actually connected to one of the books that I picked up. So this kind of spoiler alert. If you're in the know, you know. And that is Justice League of America, #1. Got the folks of Justice League. And it just doesn't show you like just the change, which I know in the story. But look at this: Batman and Superman on the board, but not on the cover. What's up with this, right? But yeah, so we got Justice League #1, first appearance of this guy right here.
Yeah, this guy right here. Who is that?
Well, I was trying to the reflection. There we go.
As soon as you showed it, I'm like, who is that?
That's Despero.
That's Despero.
Yeah.
God, he looks different.
Yeah. So they're trying to decide.
The years were kind to that guy because he looks rough right there.
Yeah. And as we all do with age, we've put on some weight. So it looks like
it happens.
Martian Manhunter. And
that's pre-Oreo John Jones.
Yeah, I'm not the color. It says slight color touch. No, it's cover glued to the first wrap.
Perfect.
So, no cover touch or nothing. It's just
But that makes it as a very affordable, perfectly fine copy to own.
exactly.
I've been looking at purple labels for the Brave and the Bold 28,
Mm-hmm.
especially after watching Jerry the Jitterbugs channel for a while. Like, I know that like it used to be that restored copies were the higher, more expensive ones until like just natural CGC collecting stigma changed it to the less desirable ones. But as long as it's not a little kid coming at that comic with a crayon color touching it, it's an art form to restore and conserve these books. So I would be perfectly fine with a purple label that presents better if it was professionally restored or conserved.
Well, and the thing about it is with nobody thought about it back in the gold and silver age about putting a color touch marker to it. They thought they were doing it a favor, right? So I mean, it doesn't really bother me, especially for those bigger books, because like you said, you can get a much better deal on it because of the CGC stigma on the book.
And then aesthetic wise, I don't know how many people think about it. You can crack that book and submit it to CBCS and get the same exact notes on it, but a blue label. Like they only deal in blue and yellow labels. Like it'll just be notated on it, like restoration. Yeah, exactly. But it would still aesthetically fit with whatever. If that was your thing, you didn't want it for aesthetic purposes, which is understandable. But there are ways to deal with that as well.
Sure. And then we're gonna go with Green Lantern 87.
That might be the only 1.8 on the census.
So this book has had a lot of love. It says cover and centerfold reattached with 2 staples added.
Looks like it was used as a shield in the middle of a gang war.
Or a water gun fight or something, because it does have a lot of stainage there. This was actually the first book of the night that I saw on this Instagram sale. And I said, yeah, let me scoop that up. I did not know they were going to throw these other keys that I'm going to show up to.
What's the name of that place that you're an ambassador for, where you can look up values of slab books?
Go Collect.
I don't know why I couldn't think of that. That's it, though. That's the one I was thinking of.
You go see how many are in the census.
Yeah, well, I could look at CGC for that, I guess. I'm just curious about that book now.
Yeah,
there's 2.0s on the census. They don't give me I don't subscribe or pay for Go Collect, but there's 2.0s on the census. It's definitely quicker to look on Go Collect than go through the CGC. That was really fast. So, dude, you might be better off like having that 1.8 than say a 7.0. Everyone's got one of those.
Yeah, if you're going about rarity or scarcity, right?
You can charge like 4 times the price now.
So according to this, there is now this. I don't think this has the CBCS ones. This is just the CGC, but there's only one on the census.
Yes, and you own it.
So yeah, talking about rarity, a couple $100. No, but I thought it was an affordable way again to get a key. And presenting it. I mean, I put this, presenting it just like that right there.
It looks good.
Okay.
No complaints on my end. Good pickup.
Now, this next one has been on my radar for a while. And I actually, talking about Instagrails earlier with the Justice League one, they had one signed by Bernie Wrightson for $1,800. I wanted to get the notes because it was the old pink label with CBCS, and I was interested to see maybe there was some room for improvement there. And they never answered me, and they wanted it for $1,800. I figured I could get them down to maybe 16 or 17, but they never answered me, and I thought that was too much. That was a 4.5. This is a 3.5 of House of Secrets 92. Now, I paid less for that, or less for this one rather than the other one. But, it was only so if I could have got them to 1,700, this one was 1,100. So
That's insane.
$600 difference for a rights and signature. You're not going to get those anymore.
That's the only Swamp Thing book missing out of the complete run. That once I acquire that, that's a complete run of Swampy. That's next year's chase right there.
So, got to go with the McFarlane figure.
Thing is huge.
It is. I'm
still waiting on one to show up at a local shop here in town that they ordered them. They just still haven't come in yet.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to see more of the big ones at Targets and stuff. But, yeah, this one's got a little bit on the front. Looks like it's been a little sun bleached. Doesn't quite have the colors popping. Now, you know who this is mirrored after, right?
In the real world, who it's supposed to be? No, I do not.
So this is Louise Simonson, who is married to Walt Simonson. So Wheezy, as they called her, but she was the model for this.
That's pretty cool. Who was the model for the guy in the background?
I don't know.
Alan Moore?
This is prior to Moore's run.
So this big beard.
But yeah, and the reason why the Chris Claremont, what did they call it? The Making of X or something like that. It was a
documentary.
Yeah. And so Louise Simonson, of course, was, big on the X side of Marvel. So it got brought up in that documentary that she was the deal. What's going on, Tony NY? Tony NY in the house.
I love his avatar. His little icon there.
Giant hole in the lid of my cup. Go to bed.
Isn't that the little tiki man from like Tales of the Dark Side or something like that? Anthology horror that came alive in the museum. Yeah.
Looks that way. All right, so this is the big book. They threw this one up last, and I threw them out an offer. Did not expect them to take it, but obviously they wanted to part with it. So it was kind of, and he confirmed it is.
Nice. This one's making me cringe already in happiness and jealousy.
The comic chef's in the house. What's going on? All right. Justice League. First team appearance. Brave and the Bold. Right here, baby. 28.
Super congrats.
So definitely a big get. And it was the House of Secrets was closer on my want list than this was, simply because, and because you looked at prices on this thing. This is one of those books that you better be committed to, right? So it has to be further up usually on your list in order for you to say, hey, I'm going to shell out the money to get this kind of book, right? It's not a couple of $100 book.
Mm-mm.
So you've got to say, all right, this is what I want, and therefore I'm going to do without these other things to get this said book right here. So it was, for that reason, it was not necessarily up on the list, but right time.
Lucky for you, you know who you can just move it to as soon as you're ready to move it.
Well, it was funny because I showed it to another guy who sells, and he goes, well, and I won't say the guy's name, but he buys a lot of DC books from me. And he says, he's been looking for one of those. And I'm like, all right, don't tempt me to sell it. I just got it.
You said I've been looking for one, or that guy's been looking for one?
That guy's been looking for one.
Yeah, that's what I announced will be my big chase book for this year. And instead of just going out and just haphazardly dropping the money on it, I've been trying to acquire it differently.
Okay.
Like promoting myself to clear out some of my back stock, which is difficult because it's time consuming. I didn't realize how time consuming selling all those books that you do is. It's ridiculous.
What's up, Toy Hunter Tony? What does a 3.0 go for out of curiosity? So if I go to Go Collect,
yeah, look at the picture.
Heritage Auctions just sold one on March the 15th for $31.20. eBay in January, one went for $27.50. In November, eBay one went for $3,100.
So what I've noticed with them, like with the low grade ones, it starts to change as you get up a little bit toward the mid grade ones, but 1.0s average out at about 1,000, 2.0s about 2,000, 3.0s 3,000, give or take now. Definitely give or take, but that's been since I started watching them since January, that's been kind of the for the low grade ones I've been looking at.
Yeah, and if you get a raw one, obviously you probably get a snag a killer deal. Of course, you
I
take.
wouldn't trust it.
Well, I was going to say you're going to take the risk of color touch or restoration, something.
Yeah, like you said, with the commitment that you have to put forward to that when you're talking 4 digits for the book, I wouldn't, unless I'm holding it in person, and even then it isn't like I'm some kind of like quality expert that I would be able to, like, those moments you're normally just doing a quick flip through and you're not inspecting it. It's an awkward thing to be there with a seller when you're thinking about haggling, not inspecting and stuff.
Right.
It's nerves.
So the black light, because you can pull the black light out, even then you miss it. But that is kind of weird.
Be that guy, just pull a black light out and then
careful in your pocket.
Go through all of that. And just say, no, thank you.
Yeah, you do get kind of a little more obligation to get stuff like that when you go to that links to inspect it. So to go back with the Brave and the Bold.
Oh my God, I haven't even seen one of those in person.
I found it like in a Target, and which is crazy because it's hard usually for me to find stuff like this. But yeah, so they've not released who the next ones are going to be, but one would stand to reason it would be the other members of the team. One would believe anyway.
That's the newest series, the newest line.
I don't know if it's the newest line, but it is one that just came out. Yeah.
Dude, and it's a Build-A-Figure for Starro. What?
Right.
What?
Right. Yeah, I had to get it. Cool.
Yes, perfect timing, man. Because you didn't mention it, but you recently picked up the first appearance of Starro.
You mean in this book?
Right there. There it is. The first appearance.
Well, that's why I segued to showing you that toy.
And I just put it up, but I filmed the video. It's available for channel members, and the first appearance of the Crime Syndicate is in it.
Yeah. So yeah, one would believe that the rest of the Crime Syndicate would be on there, Owlman and the rest of them. So
at least Owlman, Johnny Quick, and Superwoman. I doubt that they would throw Power Ring on there. Because I only saw 3 more spots, right?
Yeah.
Owlman's going to make the cut. Superwoman has to make the cut, and I would assume Johnny Quick. I mean, those are the more popular ones.
Yeah, McFarlane's been killing. You seen the some of the other ones that they released or are going to release?
Kyle Rayner dropped yesterday, dude. That looked good. The Kyle Rayner one looked really good, and then they did all the like Jason Todd Deceased and Batgirl and Nightwing and stuff.
Well, the Blackest Night stuff. They got Blackest Night, Batman, and Firestorm. So yeah, those look different.
The Firestorm one from Blackest Night, I think, was my favorite out of those. Didn't they do a Firestorm? Yeah. They showed Firestorm. He looked amazing.
Yeah,
like the fire coming out of its head looked translucent almost.
Yeah, and you don't see Firestorm that much, right?
Yeah, we don't even have a regular one yet.
Mm-hmm.
This is pretty goofy.
So yeah, it's crazy. McFarlane has been taking a lot of my money lately as well.
It's hard for me to keep it in check. Of course, I've got the whole Suicide Squad up here. I've got all of the Snyder Cut ones, and then I did pick up just Batman from the Batman movie ones. But there's
so the Suicide Squad. I wanted the King Shark, but I didn't want all the figures that went with it. So Walmart has the just main King Shark, and so I just bought it.
And he comes with the severed arm, and he has plaid pants instead of the blue pants. Yeah, I love the plaid pants.
Wow.
That is huge. Yeah, I saw one of those in person.
Yeah, I mean it's sick how all the arms,
faces and stuff on it. What?
Oh, yeah. The hands stick out of them.
I know that if you've gotten this many McFarlane figures, you've had to have accidentally at least come across some of the professional repainters that buy figures and do professional repaints on them, then sell the loose figures.
Yeah,
I bet they can do wonders on that one. That's a big canvas right there.
So, talking about that, you've seen the platinum ones that McFarlane. It's kind of like a chase.
Yeah, a lot of them are unpainted, so that those people can chase those specifically. Swamp Thing, I believe, was the first one I noticed with it, where it's just the unpainted Swamp Thing, and then they did one for the recent Lobo as well that I saw.
So I've managed to snag a Robin And those things are like worth twice as much as what you buy them for regularly. It was just
Is
sitting on
this
the
the Damien
Yeah.
Robin? So he's
Yeah,
just
the Damien.
unmasked, right?
It's the new one. It was the one that they designed for the black and red costume that's in the
Mhm.
Williamson run. But it's of course gray because it's unpainted.
That's pretty cool. I don't think I've seen that one. I did see a recent one. I don't know if it must have been the gold label because they do the gold and silver labels as the chases, and the gold being obviously the more rare. But I did see one just on his Instagram where there was a Robin without the domino mask.
So VV mentions this right here. This is the Coronation Starscream Megatron.
Spot on.
So I had to pick this up myself, VV. Yeah, I'm going to do another short. I did usually with the other Transformers from the Transformers movie, and then get that. You seen the Lex Luthor had to go with the classic power suit,
I did.
and also the main man.
Oh, that's dope.
I ordered the Aquaman.
I think you're
off Amazon.
You have like an amazing access to these figures in your location. I think a lot of the stuff here locally gets snatched up pretty quick. And see, like you got stuff from the video games, from movies, from comics. You just go for all of them, don't you?
Well, yeah, I try to be somewhat discriminatory.
It doesn't
Like
show.
for instance, like the Gotham Knights, I picked up most of them, but I didn't pick up the Nightwing because the Nightwing looked just like the regular Nightwing, which was a good figure, and I've got it, but it looked just like that. I'm like,
Now, what are you doing about display purposes? Do you have like a nice like spot set out with a shelf where you can get them all up and out and everything, or do you just
So,
have to store the boxes?
yeah, so my stacking, my shelves or my stacks for my comic book boxes, they have that cardboard shelving. So I built a display over the top of them. It also serves to keep them together because that cardboard over time does this little wonky thing. So that's where I've got them displayed at. All my Transformers and my DC Multiverse figures. I bought a display case. I'm going to be doing some dioramas in there. And
you should like take photos and share it out so the rest of us can get some ideas.
Well, I steal them from other people too. I mean, there's some killer like dioramas. I'm thinking, how in the world these people just think of this stuff? But I've got and talking about repainting stuff.
I saw that. That is dope.
So,
How do they fabricate those customs like that?
I have no idea.
Is it just a 3D print that they do or something?
I don't know. I have no idea. But he accidentally painted it metallic, which I didn't want to pay for the metallic. And he's like, well, it's on me. It's my mess up. And I had been waiting for it for a while. But I'd seen Jalzar had done one, and it had one of the covers on there for the Power Ninja Tunes. And so I got the one with my cover on the back of the box. So.
Rightfully so.
And speaking of which, soon to have another announcement regarding the second Southern Comic Geek exclusive. It is not a Hulk 181 homage, but it probably is close.
Any hints or teases?
Well, it's probably another Hulk homage, but it's not a 181.
That only leaves countless opportunities. I'm going with the McFarlane homage.
So,
Was it 340?
340 is that.
That's my guess.
Aggressively relaxing. Did you miss the Grail? Missed several.
Which one? Yeah, which one?
Brave and the Bold.
First Starro.
We've got House of Secrets.
First Alan Moore.
It's not Alan Moore.
In the background.
Then you got First John Stewart. And then you got First Justice League in their own title.
First Despero.
Yep.
First chess piece Superman.
And Batman.
Despero's playing checkers while the Flash is playing chess. That's what happened there.
So how did, without any spoilers, because I had to order off of mycomicshop.com. I had to order the Flash connecting cover for that War
for Earth 3.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I was able to get all the other ones because I wanted the connecting cover. And so they finally got the Flash one in, and I was able to snag it Sunday night. So without spoiling, how did it go?
The event, the story,
Yeah.
it was
good.
It was definitely a good event. It was a fun story, action packed to the gills, and at the end of it, you will want to reach into the book and grab a certain character and just shake that character in frustration because that character is such a good villain that it causes you that kind of frustration. I hope that was big enough.
So talking about another DC deal, World's Finest.
Fire.
So I just got World's Finest #1. I bought it, one of the Art Germ covers, because I knew I could resell it, and I've been wanting to read it. Yeah, there you go. And they had so many cool covers. I wanted the Batman slapping Superman cover. So guess who had it? Big Time Collectibles.
Hey!
Big Time Collectibles. I was able to get it on sale, and they're shipping it with my Miko box. Another plug there. So I did get the Miko signature box. Are they sold out of those yet?
I mentioned earlier, I'm not sure if they're sold out of one of the two or both, but they have the blue label boxes and the yellow label boxes. And they did put up a post that they were sold out. I just don't know if it's one or both, but worth checking if you're a fan of mystery boxes. Miko Suyon are just amazing covers and the gold standard of online retailers.
Yeah, look, I've not had any problems with Big Time Collectibles as far as ship times and all that other kind of stuff, communication,
packaging, quality of product that shows up. That's the big one for me. Like I see stuff from countless people. I've had it happen myself numerous times. How these shops promise 9.2 or better, and they damn sure mean it because you get those 9.2s often. Nelson don't send that out.
Yeah.
Just as a metric of how awesome he is, community member Nick's Kicks and Comics pre-ordered a 9.8 Last Ronin #3 Big Time Collectibles exclusive. John Jang did the art. They finally came in. He unboxed his and he opened a 9.9 because those books hit 9s and 10s, and Nelson and Big Time Collectibles did not put them up for sale on their website or flip them for that increased value of them. They sent them out to the people who pre-ordered. Like, I mean, that's honorable people, man. There's a gold standard.
Well, and I've met them several times at various cons that I've been to.
Yeah, you've went and got stuff from them for me.
Right. Yeah, so they're super nice. Of course, at their booth, that's where I met Miko, and that's where I met John Jang. Was at their booth. So super nice folks. No, I haven't. That's one of the ways I try to pigeonhole myself. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't, is to say I want to buy it, but I only buy it if I'm in person. So
what figure is that?
The Blitzwing Transformers figure.
Oh, Transformers. Okay, I wasn't familiar.
Yeah. So yeah, I've got all the Transformer movie figures. But I don't that's mainly what I've got on that stuff. And then, but now McFarlane's putting out all the killer vehicles and stuff like that too. Like the bone motorcycle from Death Metal. I've got it. I've got the Sean Gordon Murphy.
That Batmobile is insane.
Yeah.
So, I was kind of watching to see if he was going to do one from the newest movie. I mean, it would have to be pretty large, but Finn actually has the it's from just like the regular movie figure lines. It's not McFarlane, where the figures are based on 3-inch scale, but the Batmobile is legit. And
are you talking about the remote control one?
No. This one, the more detailed non-remote control, and you can actually press the engine down and it lights up the engine up front red, or out of the front red, just like in the movie, and the flame out the back is blue. But it has it's just sound effects one, and it comes with a Batman figure that you can put into it and stuff. But if McFarlane did one, it would look identical to this one. Like, that's how it's kind of designed, just a little bit bigger.
Yeah, because I got my 4-year-old. I got him the remote control one.
Mm-hmm.
It's got the little spring thing that pops up from the bottom, so he can ramp up something, kind of
That's
like
awesome.
what he does through the fire chasing the penguin.
Just need the sound effects. So good. Oh man.
But yeah, so yeah, that's pretty dope. But yeah, so what you got going on your channel? What do you not have going on your channel? Might be better stated. You got a box battle coming up, right?
Yeah, I spent a lot of time just getting this entire week done because I'm still kind of on a nonstop work rampage. Today's been the first chill day in weeks, but tomorrow I decided to partake in that comic book first appearance challenge. Mad Spidey on YouTube, awesome content creator. Be sure to check him out. One word, Mad Spidey. But he tagged me in it, and I tried to participate when I can. So I jumped in and did that. I'm gonna be showing off some books based on the parameters that he kind of set up in his video for me. And Friday I'll have my community hangout. Today I just went live for my little new DC Day hangout. Saturday is a new comic book day video, and Sunday is Out Weeks In. So kind of a regular scheduled week. There will be a big time collectibles Miko box battle in the very near future. I've got a bunch of people together to do that, like we did the last holiday box battle. We're just waiting for everyone's boxes to get in. All the shipping is rolling in on schedule, like you mentioned, how they definitely keep everything on schedule. And I'm looking forward to that because it's guaranteed to be bangers, man. You got one on the way too. You know how they roll with these things.
Yeah, I'm looking forward. Hopefully it's one of the Miko covers that I've been kind of just waiting on, and hopefully it's one of those.
And to point out, they have countless. Like I think that they ended up getting up between 5 or 8 big hits, like that are on top of the already 100 plus over value box you're getting. They have like one of those Black Panther 3 1 in 25s, like a Crow Leaf #1 right here, but signed in a 9.8. It's like a $300 book, and I forget what all the GPs were, but they throw GPs in there like for free, like it's nothing. Like just paint the run with GPs.
Yeah, I was watching a art show that Miko CM was on, and they were selling some of his original art, and like, I mean, it's just so killer. I wanted to pick up one for Aquaman, the series, and I think it just got canceled, but it's a cover that he did with Aquaman and Mara. Anyway, it was pretty dope. But it's one of those things like I want it, but I don't want it that bad.
I'm starting to get the itch. What excites me about you getting this original art itch, because I watched you go from your X-Men itch to your Hulk itch, and I'm seeing the signs of the original art itch sinking in hard, which means you're going to be liquidating your Hulk collection sooner than later. You were 3 issues away from liquidating your Hulk collection, and when that happens, I'm here for it.
Here, Park. Appreciate that. Yeah, it's gotten down to the last few issues on the Hulk and the Tales to Astonish as well. So
no, but you're only getting the Hulk run of that, right?
Yes, the 59 forward. Yeah. So
I pretty much have all of those ones myself, but I am trying to complete that run as well. I mean, that's not like a short-term goal. That's like a lifetime goal, because you get down to those early issues. You're talking.
Oh yeah, first Ant-Man and stuff.
First Ant-Man, first Wasp, first Groot, first Hank Pym. Like they really, the market gets. They really break down every individual key to the max. But there's some fantastic issues and stories to be had, and that's just a life goal. That's probably my favorite individual run that exists. It's just fun.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and then also, and I could be done with the Hulk, and this is why I think that won't happen with the Hulk versus the way it did with the X-Men, is because of the way I'm doing it as opposed to the way it did with the X-Men. I mean, because I moved so fast and so quick on the X-Men stuff that when I looked up, it was done. It's like, all right, whatever.
That's how I feel about your Hulk. I've been tracking this journey with you. I watched you go from not collecting Hulk to soft collecting Hulk to every week you're DMing me. Look what I just got.
Yeah. Check this out.
Thank God the seller didn't have this one.
Right. Well, you saw that Immortal Hulk art piece. I mean,
I
that
did,
Immortal
the one
Hulk,
that barely made it.
yeah, the Immortal Hulk run, I think is definitely one of the best runs in the last few years.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I bet you could pick up Joe Bennett art for fairly cheap compared to other art right now. Because didn't he get canceled?
Yeah, he did. He's doing other stuff, but he's not doing like mainstream Marvel stuff right now.
Good on him for
It
continuing.
seems like he's on. I forget whose website he's on. He's got like one of those people that represent an art representative, and it seems like it's somebody else. They represent somebody else I know. But yeah, he got fired over supposed anti-Semitic stuff. So
Yeah, a one-letter typo
mm-hmm.
in reverse writing on a window.
Right. Yes. What's up, Spider Girl 69, one of the channel members? Appreciate that. VV says you can always go down the Death's Head rabbit hole. Oh, okay. And then when I'm done with it, send them your way. Yeah. So I've done the same thing with my Transformers stuff. I don't need all that many to collect the OG Marvel run of Transformers. I still got all my Turtles, my Mirage Turtles run. So. I think
They're finally supposed to be wrapping up The Last Ronin next week.
I can finish that one too.
Mm-hmm. That one took longer for people to collect probably than the original run.
Yeah, and that's so crazy. I mean, you got one job.
One job, yeah.
You got one series that you're making money on IDW. You're losing your IP, and you can't get that out on time.
I honestly think they drug it out for financial purposes, like to try to honestly just drag it out and just get more traction out of it. There's no way you couldn't get 5 issues out in 2 years. There's no way I could do that like by myself.
Well, but yeah, I mean, I can get that you drag it out a little bit to get some extra first prints sold. I mean, fourth prints or whatever sold. I get that, but that 2 years is a little too long.
Yeah, that's way too long.
So,
like you're watching people like Greg Smallwood, who's like on Human Target right now. Like they're having to take a couple months off for him to pump out the last 6 so that they can release them on a schedule. Take a break instead of delaying random issue here and there. And you saw they just postponed Danger Street by a couple of months for the same reason, for Smallwood to be able to line up the art so they can release it on time. We'll just announce a delay every time we need to, kind of thing. That's crap.
I mean, that's got to be on the publishing company as much as it is anything else. That's one of the things that they said about Jim Shooter was that, hey, we're a business, we run on time, and that's why a lot of the creatives don't like him, because a creative mind, that's not how they work. They want to take their time and they rethink the things. But the old days of like the Bill Matlows and the Sal Buscema's and people like that were artists and writers, pumping out multiple books on time all the time
too,
and you can't pump it. I mean, and I would say that those books were a lot more wordy than today's books are, and so there's a lot more script to worry about, lettering, etc., and
a lot more panels in older books as well. Older books were bigger, more panels. I mean, new books are like, you can read new books like that. Last Ronin's an oversized book and you still read it in like 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm. So how does it take? With technology the way it is, how does it take longer? I think it's just bad editorial. It's got to be.
Or just stuff that we as the consumer are not aware of. Shenanigans. I'm calling shenanigans.
Yeah, it's got to be shenanigans.
Technical business term, shenanigans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, VV says he's not a fan of Secret Wars, but the industry needs a Jim Shooter type. Yeah, I mean, somebody that's able to put it together, put people in line. And, a lot of these creatives like James Tynion and others are, of course, going to do their own thing because the IP, if it gets optioned and if it does this, they'll make more money. And I get that. So some of that's on DC or Marvel for not keeping, the right people. But what's going to happen is you see people like Miko and others that are from the Philippines and all these other places. Yep.
Come on up. Come on up. Miko's already getting top tier work with DC. You know, he's on A covers with DC right now. We're seeing Kale New coming in. And we also saw, what was it, the late 70s when there was a surge of Filipino artists coming into the top talent industries because they were finding that there was mad talent over there that could do what you were just talking about and work fast. They're like, hey, they would bring them over, like, or they wouldn't bring them over. They would mailing with them like, hey, can you show us what you can do in a 3-day time? They would turn in 80 pages. Like, dude, we don't have people that are doing that in 2 weeks. He's like, for real? This is just normal. This is how we, this is
because it's a different work ethic. And if you ever go to a con like Miko, super humble. You sitting there talking to him, just appreciative, you know, of the fan service. I mean, the fans and everything like that. And I've been to some, and you talk to these creators, and they're like, "Yeah, hey, you know, my poop don't stink," like a Donnie Cates, right? Don't tell me my Hulk book sucks.
I told him on his chat.
Don't tell me my Hulk book sucks.
Started a whole run of a conversation on there, and he ended up deleting the post. He said too many people were getting negative. We ended up talking in the DMs after that.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah. Dude, and I'll be honest with you, when we got there, he seemed like ridiculously humble as well. Like, I've never met him in person, but he's like, I don't know, he came off as like he's shocked the way that people respond to his stuff, if that makes sense. He does not respond to his body of work the way that the general audience speaks of his body of work. And if you read Crossover, he clearly has no love for working for the big two. Like, that's why you see what should be considered what if stories being told in basic continuity. It's the only way that he's having fun with it, I believe.
Well, and Crossover was one that I was on board with, but when it stalled out after the Zdarsky issue, I just kind of...
Dude, the second arc is amazing. And what it gets good about it is Donnie starts, like, spoiler alert, he's the guy that's being held against his will by the department, that he's the creative mind that they believe is fueling it all. It's all coming from his mind and everything. But he's talking very meta, like how he even talks timestamp wise. He's like, back when I was trying to just get back over to the indie titles, I got roped into doing Thanos, and now I'm stuck, and all I want to do is, like, he tells you straight up, all I want to do is get back over here, and I don't understand this fanfare stuff. And you get it. Like, it's, I don't know, man. It's a very odd bird. It's a one of a kind character. I think he kind of rose too quick, too fast. It's like one of those things. All you ever want to do is write Batman, and Scott Snyder writes him within the first couple of years of working. Where does he go from there? Where does he go from there?
So Spider Girl says, I like old books. Yes, the same here. She says, I like DC, but Marvel's my favorite. Tony
is backwards.
And I would chip in that Substack would buy Teeny Howard. He said he would chip in if Substack would take Teeny Howard. I would agree with you. She can't write her way out of a wet paper sack. But so talking about Marvel versus DC, so growing up, Batman, Superman aside, and that's largely from the movies that I was a fan of, those two in particular. But and DC is having issues right now, as is Marvel. So, you know, it's not just
different issues for sure.
Issues. Yeah. But they are putting out some fire books despite all that. And I find myself, my DC list, and again, be honest, total transparency here, that Batman does feed a lot of that. But I've been picking up other books that I in previous had not picked up, I mean, like if this was my collection ago, I would never have thought about spending that much money on a Brave and the Bold. I would have much rather have picked up an Avengers book or something to that effect. So, they're different. They're different problems, but and I don't know. Maybe if you went by, because I would imagine that Marvel releases a lot more issues than what DC does. Mm-hmm. Just titles. Wow. So maybe percentage. Maybe I'm getting a higher percentage of what DC's putting out as opposed to Marvel. I don't know.
I think all in all, DC puts out more solid storytelling. There's hits and misses with both companies. I don't feel Marvel is committed at all to the storytelling aspect of their business. And even Kevin Feige said it a couple of years ago, like that when it comes to the comics, they're going to just be using it as testing and proving grounds for upcoming potential projects for the film aspect of the company. So you Marvel comic readers, you're guinea pigs. That's what he's calling us. And again, that doesn't mean everything is like that. There's a few Marvel titles that have been added to my pool lately that delivered. Ghost Rider, big one that's delivering. The new Punisher title, issue 1, was super strong. Hulk is horrible, but I'll never not pick it up. Issue 6 that comes out tomorrow, fantastic. Fantastic. It does not make up for 1 through 5, but it is finally the start of a proper Hulk run. Fantastic.
Yeah. Well, and DC with Discovery is going to be the exact same way. DC was spoiled for so long because they had Warner Brothers money, and they basically were let do whatever they wanted to do.
But they also had like amazing talent. All right, now both companies go through ebbs and flows where one like just seems to be doing better than the other. DC just has had such a historically good run, and to have hit this slump, which I full-heartedly like. When you just look at it, it seems like the inception of the success of the MCU really just fueled this. You had so many people that got brought into comics because they were introduced to them through the movies and shows via Marvel. You know, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman have always existed in the public eye since before most of us were even born. Right. You know, they were always just there. But you got this new thing dangling in front of you, which is the MCU. And so many people came in and they start with that with no love for DC. And you get that like that. You really get that herd mentality of people just, oh, MCU, Marvel, and they're not actually touching the other stuff. And that just kind of perpetuates. I see it all the time. Like you talk to countless comic people, oh, I've never started reading DC. That's crazy to me, who's been around comics for decades at this point. You know, that's like the gold standard in my mind. Marvel is right there with them, though, but DC is just, DC is in my mind. But,
well, I mean, you got Jeff Johns' Green Lantern run. I mean,
yeah, it's actually always right behind me. It's always right behind me.
You've got some killer runs in DC, and that definitely deserve to be up there at the top stories of all time.
Did you pick up Flashpoint Beyond that just dropped last week? The issue?
Yeah, I did.
Holy crap. When Jeff Johns shows up, it's not often now. The guy's busy doing other stuff, but when he shows up, he shows out. That was so good.
Yeah, I picked it up. Of course, talking about Jeff Johns and Doomsday Clock. I mean, it would have been better had it not been kind of like
a problem.
It was the delay thing, but Geiger that he done
fire.
Yep. So
the Stargirl one shot that they did last summer, because he's been slowly seeding the return of the JSA that we have not got back yet. And there was that it was kind of scheduled, but the creative team announced that it just wasn't going to work out scheduling, and they all had to step off the project. So knowing that Black Adam's coming, I guarantee you they're just going to retime it for a proper introduction to kind of steamroll some of that hype over to their title. I mean, that's the right thing to do business-wise. It really is. But that one shot he did of Stargirl, dude, that it was insanely good. It's bad when we have so many writers and creators out right now, and we read them, we're like, that was pretty good. That wasn't bad. But then people like Jeff Johns will step back in for something. People like Mark Waid, who just hit up that World's Finest. You're like, dude, it makes the rest of the stuff look bad. Well, like Tom King stuff is good for its genre. Rom V crushes it.
All right, BB. But yeah, so talking about Mark Waid, the only thing I remember, and I might be missing something, the only thing I ever remember liking of Mark Waid's was Kingdom Come.
That's my favorite comic story ever.
So that's the only one. So I was kind of iffy on him on this World's Finest. I've only read the first issue. I haven't read the second one yet. But you say it's great. I like the first issue. And I'm like, I just like this dynamic of with Batman and Superman. Not that it's a new thing, but I feel like it can be done better at times. And I feel like they're hitting on it. Dan Moore's art helps a lot.
Holy crap. Isn't it good?
So
dude, he draws them. And it's like the way his art style transfers over to Batman and Superman is how like my childlike adult mind pictures them.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the best way I can describe it. Like a childlike adult mind. Like,
well, and talking about everybody can get Batman, right? Especially the dark, brooding Batman.
But Superman,
yeah, it's tough for people to get Superman, and there's a lot of reasons I think behind that, but just to get a guy who is above the fray that wants to do it right with that kind of power, it's tough for people to understand.
The way that he draws him, you can see the strength and the design of the way that he's there. But you see, like, you can just see it all in his face too. Like, he nails every facial expression. So you just already kind of, this guy's mindset. He has that, like, that hopeful, stern, do-gooder kind of look to him. Like, it's just, I can get it. Like, it's just amazing. And then the way he does Batman's cape, that's what he does unique about Batman. It's almost like the basic outline of these characters are almost very Jim Lee-ish, but with thinner pencil and line work and less like cross-hatching and stuff. It's just dope.
Yeah, Tacoma says John's JSA was amazing.
Yes, one of my favorite runs ever. That's when they brought Kingdom Come into canon as well.
So, talking about Superman and doing Superman right, Action Comics, what are you thinking?
What about it? The main title by Philip?
Action Comics, where he's off with.
Oh my god, dude! So Philip Kennedy Johnson has set out to correct the Bendis era Superman. Like, whether you liked it or didn't like it, he has brought the hopeful essence of Chris Reeve's Superman back into the character in comic books, and he's doing it with gusto. This saga has been phenomenal. He took a villain like Mongol, like the whole little villain trope with once you beat them once, they're just
right. It's going to happen again. Yeah.
Yeah. So they created this new concept with Mongol where it's not a person, it's a title, by usurping the one before you makes you bigger, badder, tougher than that one. And it's phenomenal. It's almost like it's epic on a level of like Lord of the Rings, how we're getting all these layers to War World itself and all these different creatures, races, places, things. It's like an onion that they keep peeling back layers. And at the heart of it is Superman with his message of hope, knowing he can't punch his way to a solution in this. He has to inspire a way to solution. And then they throw you the curveball with Midnighter in there that is just mind-blowing with that last issue. Have you been reading it?
No, I've been skimming it when I go to the I'm the guy that they didn't really like. I was skimming it at the
So Superman has been imprisoned, and all of these other prisoners on Warworld do not see themselves as prisoners. They are so like brainwashed to the reality of Warworld, where being in chains is something to be proud of. Like, by killing your enemy, you get to take their chain. So the more chains you have, the more bondage you're in. He's convinced them of them being proud of that. So Superman cannot just tell them they're slaves. He has to show them a better way. And throughout the past few issues, you start seeing like the Superman S painted on stuff. And you see people wearing like ragtag red capes, not like him, but just any form of a red sash or clothing that they can find, where you can tell that the people are starting to get inspired. And they throw you a curveball and you find out that Midnighter, who's been walking around free as a bird, just trying to find Apollo. He's there to free Apollo, and that's it, just killing people everywhere. They've mistaken him for Superman, and he's the one that has built up this rebellion. Like, not even, that wasn't even his goal. Like, people are just building the Superman legend and myth and inspiration based off the psychotic actions of Midnighter. It is hilariously awesome.
So I'm probably going to get the trade on that because I've heard that it was okay, and what I saw I liked, and so I was just going to wait for the trade to come out with that.
Yeah, dude, Philip Kennedy Johnson, and I actually had the opportunity to talk to him a couple of months back, and he's a diehard Superman fan. He has a young son himself, and that dynamic with Clark and Jonathan was really flushed out with him before Tom Taylor took over Jonathan and everything, which was always part of the plan. But dude, he gets Superman like completely. It's just, if Christopher Reeve is your Superman, this is your comic.
Ah, there you go. And talking about that, Superman 76.
78.
Sorry. 78. Great. Robert Venditti, big fan of. And
yeah, he nailed that too. He kept the essence of that alive. Like, that was a perfect follow-up to the films.
I could just see those guys playing that, right? I could just see Christopher Reeve, playing.
Yeah, and Margot Kidder, Chris Reeves, Gene Hackman, like, he nailed it. All I want to know is, I want to talk to him and the artist. Who did they picture? What actor of the era did they model Brainiac after? I can't place it.
Yeah, that would be interesting because wasn't Brainiac supposed to be like the third movie or something?
Mm-hmm. And also exclusive information here, but I don't know if you were excited about these Miko 78 and Batman 89 covers that Big Time Collectibles did. They did this one, the minimal trade dress as a set, but they had the con exclusives with the black and whites.
Right.
Next coming up, you're going to see a full color version, Virgin, all foiled. It looks amazing.
So, yeah, and Miko just did one for the new Batman Beyond one too.
Yeah, it did. It was the homage to the Jim Lee. Is that same homage that this one is? The Batman Beyond Neo year, which was a surprisingly great read. I was not expecting it to be that solid.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely. And I like Superman between those two. I like the Superman one better than
Absolutely.
The Batman. So, but I wasn't familiar with the writer on the Batman one.
Yeah, the Batman book sucked. If we're being honest, like it lost me at 2. Like the first one was all the fan service you can ask for, and then like they went off the rails. It was not a proper continuation of the characters. That it was just them in likeness, not them in essence at all.
Right.
Dude, what is going on here?
And the great thing about Robert Venditti, and I've heard him interviewed talking about the Superman title, the 78, and he said that that was basically a dream of his was to write Superman, and so he got it.
It shows. He didn't skimp on it whatsoever. Sam Hamm, who wrote 89, I don't think he ever saw the movie.
That is you can tell when somebody gets into a character and can capture the character's essence, as opposed to they're just mailing it in. They're just cashing a paycheck type.
Venditti clearly saw that movie. It resonated with him, and he's lived with that, the feeling that he had from it, and how much it inspired and moved not just him but countless others. I mean, Superman the movie is legendary.
Yeah,
like that. It just is. Batman 89 is that way for me as well. This book shames its legacy in my mind. I mean, that doesn't mean people can't enjoy it, but if you're hardwired into it from like those like nostalgic reasons and early experiences, Michael Keaton, no matter what, will always be your Batman. Like, not belittling what comes after him. It's just because there's no logic to it. Just because this is not the book for you. It wasn't for me. Superman 78 is the book for me for those same reasons, because Chris Reeve is Superman, and that's not just because. That's because he is Superman.
So going back to the Discovery DC deal, they've already said that they're, to me, this is what I was reading into it, that
bringing him back.
They're bringing him back. Yeah, and I feel like that that's the right thing to do. I mean, that needs to be one of the main characters.
If Superman is not your flagship character and you are DC Comics, your company is broken on at least that level, and it requires addressing it.
Yeah, I don't understand what AT&T was thinking about, but AT&T is a phone company; they're not an entertainment company. And I mean,
phones are entertainment, right, guys? So I'm entertained. I'm watching Southern Comic Geek on my phone.
Oh, there you go. But yeah, so hopefully they're going to get somebody like a Kevin Feige, but from the standpoint that they understand that these, because I'm okay with Feige or whoever saying these are breeding grounds for great ideas. As a company, they're cheaper. It's cheaper to get those kind of ideas from comics than there are to write some screenwriter in Hollywood. So if they turn what's a great story in the comics into a movie, I'm perfectly okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's the fact of that they need to then therefore pay closer attention, understand what's buttering your bread, right? And this might be a loss leader, comics that is, might be a loss leader. You need to introduce the next generation into your product. And that means but you can price yourself out of the market, I think. And I feel like with dollar comics, these True Believer comics that Marvel puts out, that's a perfect way to get the younger reader that's not familiar with these same characters into the market. Everybody, to your earlier point, knows Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. But what about the other treasure trove of characters that you got, like right here? How many people would just know who Martian Manhunter is? Well, aside from the Justice,
Flash, Wonder Woman, and Aquaman are the only identifiable characters to a general audience, and a general audience wouldn't even get Aquaman because he doesn't have a beard.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of work cut out for anybody that takes on the task of DC cinematic anything, and the biggest thing is being patient. Like, you looking at what could be and trying to get it immediately is not going to work. You know, the MCU success did not happen overnight at all. And I credit 100% of the success of the MCU to pre-Disney. Like, everything after the Infinity War has just been throwing crap at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Oh, like Eternals?
Everything after, keep in mind that Disney acquired Marvel after the Infinity Saga was already mapped out for them.
Yeah.
You already had a handful of Marvel movies, the whole palette laid out, the whole bigger picture laid out. I'm sure little changes happened here and there, little rescheduling, reshifting. But the work was done for Disney. They have crapped the bed since, and they're lucky that it created such a loyal following before they had an opportunity to ruin it, just like Star Wars. Everything Disney has hit two decent swings with Star Wars, and that was Rogue One and The Mandalorian. Everything else, like you will always have the people that clap like seals for anything that Disney puts out, because it's bigger than an individual. It's fun to be a part of, to talk about, to participate in. But when it comes to the actual quality of what they're doing, it's trash.
Oh yeah, definitely. I would agree with that. I mean, look at Shang-Chi. The thing is, we being like the general public has set a certain level of expectation as far as money made, or people liking a certain deal, and it's up here, right? Well, so if people feel like you have to follow that exact same roadmap in order to achieve success. I mean, if a movie makes if you got several $100 million that you make on a movie, to me that's pretty successful. So, but if it didn't cross the $1 billion mark, they think that it was a flop. And everything doesn't have to be cheesy jokes and dad jokes and everything like that, although I certainly appreciate those things. Everything doesn't have to be that way. I don't think
your job, not Disney's job.
Well, I don't think Blade, as an example, would be a good property to utilize that kind of humor with.
Neither is Moon Knight, and that's the same problem. Moon Knight, in my opinion, has the same issues that Eternals did. It doesn't know what it wants to be. Are we serious, dark, brooding, refocusing on this or that, or are we just going to tell stupid jokes? Well, let's do all of it. That way,
Well, and that's kind of like with the Batman. Lean in. Batman's dark. You established Batman is dark. Lean into that. They did. You see what happens, right?
Fire.
So and that's the great dichotomy with Batman and Superman. You have this guy that's just the epitome of what people want to be, and then you have this dark, brooding guy. And they kind of balance each other out, the yin and the yang.
Yeah, perfect yin and yang.
So and you lean into that. You lean into what you are. But with this other stuff, I just didn't.
Have you kept up with Moon Knight? Have you caught up with Moon Knight as it's been coming out?
Not the latest one.
Oh man, the third one, it completely lost me. You have two world-renowned mercenaries standing outside with an Egyptian god, and they need to know what the stars looked like on a specific night 4,000 years ago. And this might not seem like common knowledge to most, but once you know. So they're standing there with a laptop that works where they're at, because computer, like not our laptops, mercenary laptops, they do have satellites and stuff like that. But anyways, they need to know what the night sky looks like. Khonshu, the god, says that he can turn back the stars, but it will cost him his freedom and he'll be imprisoned by the other gods, thus rendering their whole mission to save the world at risk, right? It's like, let's do it. So he uses all this power to physically turn back the sky. Everyone on the world can see it happen. Keep in mind, she has a laptop. So they're doing all that. He like screams, "You're going to have to save me," as the gods then just take him from there, and he appears imprisoned in a little Egyptian iconic looking vase kind of thing elsewhere. They could have Googled that information. People are like, no, they needed to know the specific this night. Well, the procession of the stars is a slow moving thing, and we actually know how math works. It's just numbers. And we know we can just Google it. You out there watching, you can get on your computer and Google what the night sky looked like however many years ago you want. That's how we know that the Sphinx in Egypt was originally lined up to face the constellation Leo when it was built. And how we know that it is most likely it is not the original face on it. It was the head of a lion. Like, I mean, this is common knowledge if you spend time looking in. As soon as you start looking into stars and constellations and history of Egypt, this is immediate common knowledge. But yet they sacrifice the entire fate of the world to do a special effects trick for the viewers. So I'm just like face palming the whole time. Like, this is ridiculous. He also is bulletproof, but spears pierce him within 30 seconds of each other in the show. Bulletproof, but you can stab him with a spear.
Well, what's with the whole, the costume automatically comes on? I mean,
it wraps him up like a mummy. Or if he's Mr. Knight, it pops on depending. So, like, he's got the different personalities. If Stephen Grant pops on the costume, it's just boom. You blink your eye and he's wearing the business suit. If Mark Spector puts it on, it does a quick wrap of him. And that leads us to our next point. He's standing next to two henchmen, and the camera goes just out of sight and goes right back. And they're like, "Where'd he go?" And you look, and he climbed up a building, a little structure about 20 feet up, just to be standing there to look at him as Moon Knight to jump down. Like, no reason at all. Like, they're about to start a fight, and he pops into the Moon Knight gear, but climbs up a little structure just for the bravado of it. It is ridiculously bad. The directing in this is horrid.
Yeah, I feel like Oscar Isaac can pull off the multiple personality thing.
Yeah, he does a fine job acting.
But he can only work with what he's got, right? Mm-hmm. So, and Moon Knight is particular especially with the schizophrenia, the multiple personality stuff. I mean, it's a perfect lean in back to the dark brooding Batman. It's a perfect lean in to a darker MCU.
I really thought they were going to go that route. Feige he made statements talking about how this is going to be a darker, grittier, brutal show. And I caught it then. I'm like, there ain't no way. This is Disney Plus. They're not going to tarnish their brand. And then the very next week, they put that Ryan Reynolds movie Free Guy on their platform, which we turned on just one evening to watch with the kids to have something playing. And they drop an F-bomb in that. I'm like, dude, what in the world? Like, this is like, honestly, y'all should have put something out there. This is up until this point been a completely kid-safe platform. And then the following week, they put the Netflix catalog on there and then updated the app to have like the new style with the parental stuff and all that. Like, y'all could have done that a week ago, but now that you put the Netflix catalog over here, I'm thinking maybe they'll do like the whole Marvel Knight style with Moon Knight, and then you get it. It's just Eternals. Eternals.
Yeah, let's just block Eternals so we don't have to view any of that horror.
Yeah, that movie, it was rough. There was definitely some gorgeous cinematic style to look at, some camera shots and this and that, but that movie was
all the special effects. I mean, it can only do so much, right?
Yeah.
And again, it's not necessarily on the actors as much as
something like Moon Knight. It's like this brutal street level fighter and everything. Why are you leaning into computer special effects, making like we people seen video games, we've seen computer special effects till we're blue in the face? Like, y'all got to go back to practical effects a little bit here. That's what made the stuff in the Batman so dynamic. They like, people fight. Yeah, we see people fight, but we don't see like people fight. Look at John Wick. Ridiculously successful franchise. Keanu Reeves trains his balls off to be impressive with practical effects, and it shows. Like, it makes a difference. Like, we see computer effects like, yeah, it's just a video game. We're looking at a video game.
Right. For sure. Well, man, I appreciate you hopping off and sharing in the reveals from earlier as we ramble on about various other things, mostly related to DC, but just comics in general. Do appreciate anybody for hanging out with us as well. Be sure to smash that like button if you haven't done so already.
Hit the join button is what you need to do.
Well, speaking of a join button, thank you to the channel members, people that are supporting the channel through their monthly membership or ships. And most of these people here are creators of their own on YouTube and or Instagram. So if you see a name that you're not familiar with, go check them out. After the show is over, give them a sub up, give them a follow, a like, all that kind of good stuff. It also enters you in to win our monthly giveaways. So be sure to check that out. Get in it to win it. That's the easiest way to do because you get 10 entries per membership. It's 1 entry per $1 of super chats given in live shows like this one. But since my lives are a little less often with it than what they used to be, the membership button is the easiest way to do so. So check out Mark, Legion of Comics, if you're not already subbed up to him.
That's me.
That guy right there.
I don't have a Brave and the Bold 28. I'm sorry. I do have a 25 though.
Well, it's close. It's close. Hey, so are you going to Heroes Con?
Mm-hmm.
When's Heroes Con?
June 24th, 25th, and 26th.
I got it. Clayface. June 24th. Okay, yeah, Heroes. Because I'm trying to man my schedule every time I got all excited about going to MegaCon in Florida, and then of course something's on that week. So
that's how I feel about every week. Like WonderCon, MegaCon, C2E2, pick a con.
Yeah, so I got things
on my off weekend, so I'm just squeezing it into my off weekend, and my wife is just being amazing and supportive. Like, yeah, go.
So is she going with you?
No, she's not. She's just liking it to some time back. She went on a girls trip one weekend, and just like some of her friends went to a girls getaway went to a friend's, what was it, like a cabin in the woods kind of deal, Kyle, and they went zip lining and stuff, and so she's like, you go do that. I'm like, okay. So me and Pops are going. She's hanging back with the kids. So
she said, you go ahead and go, and she was fully expecting you to say, no, baby, I got to be with you, and then you said, no, I'm going. All right, bye.
She would definitely go had it not be like it's scheduled pretty close to our annual vacation when we head to St. Simon's Island, and it'd be a little much to try to feels that kind of ask for that many days off and pull it off. So she's leaning into the vacation thing.
Yeah, Heroes is another big one I would like to go to. A lot of creators there.
Straight comic book stuff.
Comic book stuff, yeah. So that's one that's on my potential radar for this year too. But with it's in North Carolina, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would just
I think Raleigh. I think it's in Raleigh, North Carolina. Raleigh, however you want to say it.
Yeah, tomato.
Mm-hmm.
But I would just fly up there if I'm able to make that. Because I've got Huntsville, which I'm set up for one day. I had already bought a table, and then I found out that we were having a wedding here in town, and so and then next week.
Oh, you're selling at Huntsville?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Nice. I get to see you up there. Like people walk by, $2 bite nows. You got 30 seconds left. Get them.
Right. Here's your timer. Quit looking at the box. Your timer's over with. So I'm going to ICCC next weekend, which they're going to have Anthony Daniels, the guy that plays Emperor Palpatine as well.
He's alive?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
After that last movie, I knew he had to be close to death.
Well, after the last movie, he's probably been wanting to lay low himself.
He's been hiding.
Yeah, M. McDermott. But yes, I'm gonna get some signatures up there. Jim Lawson and Steve Levine, which are two guys were instrumental in the early days of Turtles. They're going to be there as well. One of them was the creator of the Rat King. If you remember that character. And so they're going to have some toys up there. Hopefully they'll have some comics as well. So that's going to be the weekend after next weekend, not this weekend. All right, boss. Well, we're fixing to get out of here. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us today. Until next time, keep reading, keep collecting. Adios.